about Tim Pool, besides all of the obvious stuff like his politics, the way he is, his mannerisms, the way he looks, his physiognomy. I'm not racist enough to know that word. All his personality. There's nothing that could be done. I just don't like him. What I really don't like about Tim Pool, this is true, and it annoys me almost as much as everything else, is that he wears the hoodie, or the beanie. He wears the beanie right on his eyebrows. Right the fuck on him, dude. That's so crazy to me. Do any of you do this? Think about it. First of all, who wears a beanie? Unless you're out there snowboarding or something. I feel like it's a different thing. On him? That would fucking drive me nuts. Someone get me a beanie. Do we even have a beanie in this house? A beanie inside is crazy. Yeah, I need one. I need one, or I'm not going to be able to do this. Oh shit, yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to be honest, chat. This is the best one. I'm going to put on a beanie just for you, chat. And I'm going to do it on my eyebrows. Anyway, we're matching his energy now. Now I understand. I feel powerful. I feel a little insulated, a little safer. It's almost like if I was embarrassed about my hairline, which I am not, I would wear this more. I do feel powerful and cute. Like who's gonna say this guy's not cute?
The logic applied by the founding fathers was...
Oh, this video is called Americans Are Abandoning Religion and Losing All Christian Morals. I don't know. I feel pretty Christ-like right now. White now, which is what Christ-likeness is.
If you have a society where the citizen believes, even if they are innocent, they will be punished, there is no incentive for the citizenry to be virtuous. In fact, the inverse. They will lie, cheat, and steal to avoid detection, because it doesn't matter if you're good or not, and they'll have to lie to protect themselves.
If you're not Christian, you do crime more?
As this country becomes less and less Christian, and that seems to be the trend, though some say it may be reversing, will we survive as a country without this?
Oh my God, we'd be so much better. Ooh, think of all the kids that'll survive into adolescence because they'll be vaccinated. Think of all the children that won't be faith healed to death. Think of all the kids that won't be abused in systems of power that are, just used to facilitate and focus young, impressionable people toward the ideas and whims of whoever happens to claim to be the holiest man in town. Doesn't seem like a good model to me. And more to the fact is that at the very core of it, every single religion is an untrue claim. It's just not true. You know what we can do? We can treat each other more wokely. We can treat each other with respect and dignity and just let each other behave and sort of not behave, but sort of express ourselves how we wish. And then you would see less physical or less strife. And, of course, addressing the corptocracy and oligarchy that we live under. But, you'd have to do both. Promise it'll work.
Well, I mean, first we need to find what we mean by Western civilization.
Oh, good. This guy looks like a fucking Nazi. Who's this guy? He's got to be a Nazi. No chance this guy doesn't have white nationalist ideas. This guy definitely thinks he's the master race. All right.
And generally, it's a civilization, not like Islamic civilization or
There we go. Pretty quick. Not like Islamic civilization.
Far Eastern civilization.
Definitely not a Far Eastern civilization. Those are different than ours.
It's a civilization that is generally defined by adherence to ideas like democratic values.
Democratic values. The kingdom of heaven? I dis-a-fucking agree. Y'all had kings forever. You did crusades on behalf of kings and popes. What are you talking about? You currently want a king. You're trying to install one right now. Fully grown man having puberty voice cracks. Maybe he's on estrogen. Maybe he's on tea. Who knows?
Human rights, found strong belief in modern science and promoting of education. And if you read historians on this, like, for example, there's a great book called Christianity and Human Rights, an Introduction. Every chapter has its own author. They've argued that a lot of these values come out of the Christian tradition. And you're getting the opinions of multiple scholars. You can also check out Samuel Moyn's book, Christian Human Rights. Tom Holland's book, he's an atheist dominion. That's his book. I've argued that a lot of these ideas about Western civilization that we have come out of the Christian tradition for a reason. So
I agree that a lot of the ideas we have about Western civilization comes from the Christian tradition, and I disagree that any of them are about, treating people with kindness or goodness. Y'all fucking colonize this place. And literally, to say any of this is crazy. Like we have correspondence from French, Spanish, English, Portuguese colonists, all with ties to their particular churches. All of these churches are saying, yes, colonize the lands, take native wives for your own, and force Christendom onto your children, and then we will have a Christian nation. All of them were saying this shit. Like, literally all of them. You can read missives from the founder of Detroit, Antoine de la Carriac, to his fucking, like, superiors in the church, and they are explicitly outlining that French soldiers should quite literally abduct native women and take them for wives in order to make sure that they could have kids that were fucking white or whiter and or French, I guess, and Christian. It's crazy, dude. They did this in Canada, obviously, quite a bit. Like all of the stuff that happens in Canada, that could have happened here even more.
Can the West survive without Christianity? I mean, like, the West is built on Christian foundations. It'd be very hard to move beyond that, and it'd
be hard to move beyond what? But it's not Christian foundations. It was Enlightenment foundations. These are deists. I've had this argument before. These aren't Christian foundations.
Not be the West at that point. So the question
They're
would be,
religiously affiliated in that they all grew up in these cultures. Like, they are informed. It's like a secondary thing.
would it even be the West if we moved away from Christian foundations and ideas?
I'm not a Christian. I guess I would be called a lapsed Catholic. But I do largely agree. I'm curious. I think you probably disagree.
Well, I think my question is not what do we mean by the West, but what do we mean by Christianity? Are we talking about the type that produces doomsday cults, the type that abuses children in mass, the types that...
So Protestants and Catholics crossed off the list.
Tried to change the Indians' culture by killing the Indian but saving the man?
So the Orthodox churches and the French colonists and the Spanish colonists... Okay, so all of the churches. Well, then that's all of it. It's all gone. I'm glad this guy's woke. Look at this wokey. Call them Indians. Yeah, that's right. He meant India, too.
Are we talking about the type that want to relegate women to the kitchen? There's no homogenous view of Christianity. And for every good thing that you can pull from Christianity, I can probably pull 5 horrific things from Christianity and the data points, and I can root it back to the Bible.
Oh, I like that. But this guy sucks, probably. That sucks. That's good. Who's this historical hack?
I would probably say when you look at the...
I didn't know that this guy was here to give any sort of pushback. That's lovely.
The Constitution.
Let's see if he's correct.
And the Founding Fathers' ideals largely built upon, not necessarily directly overlapping with, but built from and overlapping with Christian moral traditions.
I would think that they would laugh you out of the fucking Constitutional Congress for saying something like that. I think that they would say something to the effect of, while this document has some good writings, don't these authors have something to offer? And do not our rights come from, aren't they innate? And, they had a lot more going on. They thought that, they wrote down what they thought. They thought that rights were... innate in every single white landowning man, and that someday that would spread over, and every man would have his own small little kingdom on 40 acres or whatever. It didn't work out, obviously.
So obviously, we can look at any person, anywhere, at any time, and find bad things about them.
Mm-hmm.
I can sit here and tell you why the police are evil, and I can show you every single evil thing the police and the feds have done. Okay,
so I think that overall, the idea of law enforcement and community maintenance through social order or whatever isn't 100% a bad idea, but I think the implementation that the Americas have gone with is very bad and poor. I don't think it's bad to have servants that protect and serve. The idea of someone who is there to help in your community, just knows your community members, has interactions with them, helps with stuff, and preferably would be there to prevent the need for arrests and crime stuff. The idea would be to be in front of it, but we don't approach policing like that at all. It's 100% reactive because we come from a fucking tribal ape world, and we don't Republicans. Okay, a big problem with religion is that it makes you not acknowledge that we are animals. And I really, truly believe to be humbled by the knowledge that we are animals is so profoundly understated by materialist atheists. Like, it just takes you down a like, I don't have this anthropomorphic center to all my thoughts when I try to like empathize with a dog or something. You know what I mean? Like, when I try to empathize outward, I don't think of like myself as my own experience as like the experience. You know what I mean? These guys fucking do. And it's just so different. Like, you can't really describe to a Christian how it feels to like know that we're all part of this. We're literally like not just the earth, the universe. We're from it. We're of it. And like, I understand why sometimes the hippies, when they take too many fucking drugs, get like a spiritual connection with a tree or whatever, and they're like, oh man, I just want to feel the soil on my feet. Like,
I hope you have a
there's a reality that you know it almost innately too, that like we're of Earth, and it feels really natural to be part of it in a lot of ways for people. Especially if you take some shrooms, you will feel that, Bo.
Ruby Ridge. Does that mean we should have no police? No. Can we survive without law enforcement? I honestly don't think we can.
Without reactive law enforcement that just uses military force to like criminalize the populace is ridiculous. Like, we absolutely can. I have no problems with, like, I think from a pragmatic standpoint, we're talking about policing for a second. We never talked to Tim. From a pragmatic perspective, I think that policing, like, I think we acknowledge that sometimes together we will have to use violence to make sure certain things don't happen or do happen because they need to happen. However, America leans on violence like a bad parent. It has no skill or tact. It doesn't try to prevent violence. It doesn't try to prevent crime whatsoever. It exacerbates all of these things. And so people are going to adapt to the system that you give them. Just like gamers are going to like exploit any sort of fucking thing they can in a game to get like a particular outcome they want. If it like it, they're gonna do it in real life too. We're little pattern seekers. We're gonna do fraud. If you say our survival needs these little coins to live, we're gonna find how to get the coins. We're gonna do it. We're clever little fucking apes. And if you say, well, you could do it this way and you can't do it that way, well, then we commit crimes to get the coins if we feel like it's a good way to get coins. I mean, you just set up the system. And then you say, don't take the coins that way, and that's policing. That's essentially what they've done. Isn't that crazy? They're just here to protect coins. They're not here to protect each other and us, because it's about money. Capitalism has soured the idea of what policing is.
So the issue then becomes the Christian moral tradition, and the example I like to give is the easiest is the right to a speedy trial, innocent until proven guilty, which is, if you actually trace back the history of the Constitution and where the founding father got their ideas, that's the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. So Blackstone...
What? That's not the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. No, God doesn't give any of those people a trial. None of them get trials. I thought he was going to say, like, the Code of Hammurabi or something, which is like, let's see, how long ago was that? 1728 BC. Code of Hammurabi. Did it have, I mean, it had, this is like one of the earliest collections of law. I want to see if it had, laws. Did it have a case thing? Offenses against administration law, false charges, false testimony. Yeah, I mean, literally, this is what it was. Property offenses, land and houses. Like, look, if a man breaks into a house, they shall kill him and hang him in front of that very breach. It's pretty hardcore stuff. But anyway, they had laws and shit. That's very, I mean, this is, that predates biblical stuff. Barbaric. Of course!
Blackstone's formulation was the inspiration for the right to a speedy trial.
This is why we don't go, oh yeah, the Code of Hammurabi, it was written a long time ago. We should still use it. But that's what Christians are doing. This is why, I mean, I don't have any tolerance for it. It's not different than saying we should instill the Code of Hammurabi. To say, oh, the Ten Commandments, idiotic. It's not different. In fact, it's worse. The Code of Hammurabi is secular. For the most part, it's about like, hey, how do we organize this community? Of course, through a kingship or whatever. Hammurabi, was he king? Are they going to say the word king? Sixth king, yeah. The Amorite king.
Which is by Benjamin Franklin, built upon Blackstone's formulation, which is, Blackstone said it is better that 10 guilty persons escape than one innocent person suffer. Benjamin Franklin said it is better that 100 guilty persons escape than one innocent person suffer. The founding fathers took it...
Yeah, because Ben Franklin was cool. He wasn't the best, but he was cool. He had some cool ideas.
From a Christian perspective and and brought it to the logical position of how can we actually prove that the story of Sodom and Gomorrah and Blackstone's formulation are the right thing. And of course, again, for those that don't know the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, if there's but one righteous person, I will not destroy this town. Of course, then they got the righteous person out and then nuked that place. So
with Lot is the one righteous person, and then he gets gang raped by his daughters in a cave overlooking that after his wife was killed. That's not a joke. Just curious, when can we trigger another hype train? Not through this, sorry.
So the logic applied by the Founding Fathers was, if you have a society where the citizen believes, even if they are innocent, they will be punished, there is no incentive for the citizenry to be virtuous.
Right. So that's what happens under authoritarian regimes. Welcome to leftists being like, hey, this is fucking stupid.
In fact, the inverse. They will lie, cheat, and steal to avoid detection because it doesn't matter if you're good or not, and they'll have to lie to protect themselves. But if society tells the citizenry, even if you are guilty, we will try in every way imaginable to give you the appropriate chance to defend yourself, and if you are innocent...
Yeah, but they don't. We pay-gate the legal process. Tim? Like, hello?
We would rather free 10 guilty people than see you suffer. The incentive, of course, then, is to be virtuous because we're here to protect you.
But that's not it. That's not what... They are not here to protect.
So that is just one element. But if you actually go through the Constitution as a whole, largely influenced by a Christian moral tradition. So that's my view.
Yeah, the Christianity's bent and altered so many times. Kind of to your point,
This is the moon guy, right? Is this who you guys call this guy? Somebody, right? He has a nickname. Jake in the Hat, so baby girl. Thank you, Moon Lord. Why is he the Moon Lord? Can someone explain to me the Moon Lord thing? Why do they call him that? Does he just believe the moon is flat or something? Flat moon. He's just crazy. Well, I know he's crazy. He wants to mine the moon? Okay.
It's changed. Like, obviously, you've had reformations. You have the Methodist Reformation. You had at one point with the Spanish Inquisition, where they would go into, I don't know if they would kick people's doors in, but they would execute people for not worshiping their cult.
Yeah, I agree with this guy.
And I think there are
Moon Lord.
excellent methodologies,
but here's the thing: he's gonna go, I'm so smart that I can't even believe reality either. Here's fake stuff that I believe instead.
Messages from that book, the Christian Bible, but there's a lot of horrible cult worship, adherence, expectation, groupthink that's very, very dangerous just in general across all religion and what do you want to call it, mass formation of any kind. So that's
What is wrong with salami?
Mass formation of any kind is crazy. See, this is where he fucking loses me. A bunch of people agreeing because the evidence is true is fine. If Christianity was true because like they had overwhelming evidence of like prayer working and stuff, and like we had fucking clerics, like D&D clerics walking around healing people, I'd fucking believe in it. I would be very concerned if the stories in the Bible were true and we had a malicious God up there and hell was real. I would definitely be trying to be some other kind of class to try to kill God still. I'm still on that. It's not going to end.
It's kind of where I'm at. I'm very much a cherry picker in that sense, I guess.
Well, let me ask real quick. He mentioned the Spanish Inquisition. I don't know if you are familiar with it.
Oh, yeah. So there's a lot of propaganda about the Spanish Inquisition.
A lot of propaganda about the Spanish Inquisition? Sure. Okay.
A lot of it actually comes from a lot of Protestants later on. But if you read a book by an atheist named Nathan Johnstone called The New Atheism, and he makes the point, like, we just can't say Christianity, therefore Inquisition, because it comes about in the Middle Ages after a recent resurgence of rationalism.
We absolutely can say that the Spanish Inquisition was informed by their Christianity. That's what they used for just justifying it. Yes, we can.
And the need to place justice in the hands of humans more than anything.
In humans more than their belief. What? What the fuck are you talking about? In humans more than anything? The Christian humans?
Daddy.
Expect a kind of Spanish Inquisition? Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
And then, of course, the propaganda aspect comes in. A Spanish inquisitor would consider themselves a failure if they actually had to execute someone.
They sure did fail a lot. It's a lot of failing. A story of torture, betrayal, and persecution is captivating Mexicans by almost 500 years after it happened. The life and death of the Carvajal family, 16th century Mexico. Oh, this is Mexico, though. This is not the fucking... Did he run away from Spain, though? There was more inquisitors. Where was this fucking inquisitors? Oh, my bad. Sorry, found a second inquisition.
I'll take human breast milk on my Cheerios.
Sorry, there was also in Mexico after the Spanish had conquered it and installed Christianity. There was an inquisition on the Jewish community as well. My bad. That is a different inquisition. Sorry, we got our inquisitions mixed up with Christians. We're at the halfway point, but how about a musical Moon Lord intermission? He has what?
Follow me into the desert, as thirsty as you are.
Nope. He's better not singing, I think.
They didn't want to do that. The goal was to actually convert someone. And oftentimes they were far more rational than a lot of the secular governments of the time, like the kings and the nobility. Like Nathan...
The kings and the nobility are not secular government. They literally obeyed the church. The king had to, remember, quite famously, there was a king who had to ask permission to get a divorce and then didn't, and then change the whole church and everything. It was a whole thing. Remember?
Johnstone talks about in his book, like the inquisitors were reminding people, like,
the King of Spain started the Inquisition. Good point.
We're not just going to blame crop failures on witchcraft. There's probably a naturalistic explanation, far more likely. So it's been blown way out of proportion, he points out. It's
been blown way out of proportion. Spanish Inquisition death toll. 3,000 to 5,000 people. They put to death 3% of the people that they inquisited. Ooh, up to a maximum of 5%. Oh, good. Sure. The Tribunal of the Holy Office of the Inquisition. Fuck off.
Often used to sort of attack Christianity. And we also have to remember...
It's often used to attack Christianity. It's one of many examples used to describe Christianity's material effect on history.
There are multiple variables going into this idea. It wasn't just Christianity, therefore Inquisition.
Yeah, but the Christianity is what they used to fuel the reasoning for their Inquisition, you dummy. It was a religious Inquisition.
You know, we have to remember...
What were they inquisiting on?
Variables throughout the Middle Ages, political, secular...
What were they inquisiting?
Economic, various aspects are going in people's thinking, and it's going to affect the outcomes.
Sure, and as someone who's actually studied the history and brought some of it with me, that's all wrong. So here's...
Heresy, blasphemy, and deviant beliefs, by the way. We can't blame Christianity for violently striking against people who didn't believe in their shit.
There's a book called The Bloody Theater. It's been renamed The Martyr's Mirror. It's a volume that's kept just by the Anabaptists, and there are thousands upon thousands of first-hand accounts of people that were murdered by Protestants, murdered by Catholics, murdered by Zwingliists, murdered in Geneva for simply baptizing people as adults. Whole families tied up, thrown into the river and drowned. Children drowned because their parents got baptized as adults. That's it.
Yeah, man. Listen to that. That's crazy.
There are thousands of first-hand accounts.
So just to clarify, a person got baptized and they killed their children, or they killed them, or
Whole family.
Who killed them?
Typically the church leaders. So what you found was there was a plague, they called it in Europe, of Anabaptism. It also went by the Walden's plague, and the idea that you needed to stamp out heresy started with Constantine. In this book, I have decrees, edicts given all the way from the time of Constantine until the 15th century.
They believe that adult baptism was the only form of authentic baptism, and that infant baptism is not good. And then here's them throwing people into the river. Cool.
saying we need to stamp out these heretics. And then they did it. They went out and they did it. And there's good support in the Bible for it. God himself stamps out innocent alongside the guilty all the time. He says so. He brags about it.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Exodus 34:7 says he visits the iniquity of the parents upon the children and the children's children into the third and the fourth generation.
Yeah.
In 2 Samuel chapter 24, God kills 70,000 Israelites for the sin of David. In 2 Samuel chapter 12, God has 10 of David's wives raped for David's sin.
Right, I have a question. Do you
Yeah, does that sound right? Anybody?
do you think American
I'm so glad this guy is here. Well, I have been yapping plenty. I don't have to look that up too.
constitutional republicanism is a good thing?
I think the American idea is a good thing. Whether or not we can root that in the Bible, I think is questionable.
No, I'm not asking that. I think, do you think this country will survive if the Constitution were to be like abolished or destroyed?
The country is a thing because of the Constitution. It would. I mean, you're just talking about throwing the deed to my house into the fires of hell destroy the deed? Yeah. Bible equal Constitution? No.
I guess it means, like, what do you mean by survive?
Will there be a cohesive structure? Will there be stable family growth, safety, security, prosperity, in the sense that we typically know it in the United States, if our form of government, which is constitutional republicanism, were to shatter overnight? Like,
What?
let's say we root out the rules and regulations, the teachings of the founding fathers, and just said, gone.
What? Why don't we just, if the founding fathers had some good ideas, which I think life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is actually something we shouldn't put in the Declaration of Independence, but actually in the Bill of Rights. Like, I think the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness is correct. I agree with that, actually.
Like, what would this country become?
Well, it's hard to know because, like, you create a vacuum, right? So, for example, when we found vacuums in the Near East, what filled it? The caliphate, violent extremist groups. If we found a political vacuum here in the States, it's hard to know what would actually fill it. But I think Americans, by and
A violent extremist group would take over. Do you know why? Because those are the people seeking to fill those power gaps.
large, appreciate democracy. I would only assume that if our current form of government collapsed, it would reform as another democracy.
You
I think so. Where we had government. Yeah.
think? Do you think? Would you consider that we should intentionally get rid of our current structure of government, or do you think it's a good thing?
I have no problem with our structure of
How
government.
many children have been slaughtered and murdered in the name of our constitutional republic?
What?
Oh, I don't know, but I know there are millions of
Like
children.
in the process of colonizing it to set it up, or like, do you mean like in their expansionist empire wars, or
that have been brutally raped by the church.
Certainly, and I don't disagree with that. I'm asking you how many children have been murdered in the name of American constitutional republicanism? It's quite a bit. It's a
I don't
hefty
know.
number. I mean, it's probably in the millions. And so my issue there is looking at the worst vices and failures.
Are you talking about American children?
I'm talking about children all around the world from drone
through
strikes.
wars, you mean?
I don't think a drone strike in Yemen that kills an American citizen who's 16 years old by Barack Obama was a war. We didn't declare war on that place.
I also think we shouldn't bomb Yemen.
We had no
I agree.
business bombing that, but this was done in the name of American.
Okay. Yeah. So, yep, I agree. Barack Obama bad, but also that was, that was like 20 years ago at this point. We're talking almost 20 years of the day. He was fucking in 2028. It'll be 20 years since Barack Obama's first term.
The American government, the system that we believe is this moral and virtuous system.
And
To
George
me,
Bush gave biblical justification for it. George Bush thought Ezekiel
Okay, but
28
that's
was
not-
playing out, and he needed to invade the Near East.
Barack Obama's the guy who blew up a bunch of
Barack Obama. What the fuck?
kids.
I agree.
And my point is,
And you're invoking it so that you can try to say that, oh, look, I'm still right wing, guys.
I don't look at the United States, the Constitution, the founding fathers, and say, oh, a bunch of evil people over a long period of time murdered millions of children.
Why not?
I say, wow, there's evil people we need to stop. And so
What?
my point here is, I bring this up because we're
Is
asking
that
a
a
question
point?
about moral traditions on how they should be enacted, not, did you know that in 1428 a bunch of evil people tortured people? It's like, certainly they did. And every culture everywhere did it. I mean, let's go to Japan and talk about how they raped and enslaved the Koreans. Does that mean that the honor of the samurai or whatever, or the Bushido should be completely thrown out? Or is it a good structure for people to abide by?
Is the Bushido? No, it's a bad structure for people to abide by. It's a bad one. Wandering swordsman, not a great life. Well, Tim, I think what I'm experiencing, it's a cute dog back there. What I'm experiencing is a warmth of the brain. I've also what I've noticed is that my eyebrows are more powerful than yours, and yours stay tucked up under that fucking hat, and mine have definitely freed themselves of their prison. So I can't relate. Well, Christianity is bad. There was multiple people on there saying Christianity is bad. I actually wanted to hear more, can you believe it, from the idiot Christian guy, because he was wrong a bunch. It's all right. Maybe someday we'll get a Christian to come on and actually want to talk on chat, on stream with me. Every time we do, it's a good time. I'm just not finding very many brave ones on the internet. Got a lot of guys that like to talk in my mentions on Twitter. Not a lot of guys that want to like have a conversation, which is strange. It's almost as if they don't feel like God is on their side and that they are alone with me without any help. That's crazy.